What's up guys, I'm Brent from PrecisionLED.com, and here we have a 2016 Toyota Tacoma we'll be performing an LED interior light install on. Now the 2016 is the third generation, so this installation is compatible with all years 2015 plus. So today we'll be installing a PrecisionLED 5730 style premium LED kit, which come with these 3 interior trim tools you'll see us using throughout the video. We have our serrated knife tool, our pointed wedge tool, and our fork-shaped wedge tool. So today we'll be installing LEDs on the front map, the dome, the vanity mirrors, the license plate, and the reverse lights. So let's get started. So we're gonna start by installing on the front map lights. Now, as you can see, I've already gone ahead and done the install on the passenger side, so we're gonna show you how to install on the driver's side. Now, we're gonna be using our serrated knife tool, the flat end, in order to get to the halogen bulb. So we're just gonna come in vertically, opposite of the push switch, and then just pry outward, and then just work your way around, and all of the clips should come loose fairly easily. So now that we have access to the halogen bulb, you could try to remove it just with your hand, but it's a bit difficult to get to. A trick in order to remove the bulb a bit easier is just to take a small piece of tape, and you can make a sort of a U shape, and you could just wrap it right around the bulb. And then just with the remainder of the tape, the tail here, you could just use that just to pull the bulb right out. There we are. And so here we have our 5730 style LED, so we'll just pop that in. Now these LEDs, they're non-polarity specific, so you can pop them in any orientation and they should come on without a problem. Now let's just test the bulb to make sure everything's working. Everything looks good. And so now we'll just pop the lens back on. You're just gonna want to line up the push side first. And once that is in place, you can just line up this clip here and then just apply a little bit of pressure until it clamps in. Now we'll be installing on the rear dome. So we're gonna be using our serrated knife tool, the flat end, in order to get to the halogen bulb. Now there are 4 clips that are holding this lens into place. So we're gonna be prying away from the power switch here, and we're gonna be coming in vertically. And then once you're in there, you're just gonna wanna pry outward. And once you have separation, just work your way down until the rest of the lens comes loose. Now you can remove the bulb just by prying down on this tab right here, and the bulb should just fall. And so here we have the LED, so we'll just pop that in. Just to be sure that my hands aren't blocking the shot, we're just gonna be installing with a pair of pliers. We're gonna be installing first on the stationary side, and then just pop in the rest of the LED in. And before reassembling everything, we're just gonna want to be sure that the LED boards are facing downward. Now let's just test the LED to make sure everything's working. So everything looks good. And so here we have the lens. We're first gonna want to line up the back tabs away from the power switch. And once those are lined up, we're just gonna apply a little bit of pressure to the front until it snaps into place. Now we'll be installing on the vanity mirrors. So as you can see, again, we've already gone ahead and done the install on one side, so we'll show you how to install on the opposite side. We're gonna be using our fork-shaped wedge tool in order to get to the halogen bulb. We're gonna be using the fork portion of the tool, and we're just gonna be coming in perpendicular to the light. And once you have separation in between the lens and the actual vanity mirror, just gonna wanna pry outward until the lens comes loose. And now that we have access to the halogen bulb, we're just gonna take our pointed wedge tool, and we're just gonna come underneath in order to pry the halogen bulb loose. And so here we have our LED, so we'll just pop that in. And before reassembling the lens, you're just gonna wanna make sure that the LED boards are facing outward. And so now we'll just reassemble the lens. We're just going to start by inserting the top portion of the lens,
and then lining up the bottom clip and then just applying a little bit of pressure until it clamps into place. Now we'll be installing on the license plates. Now we're going to be removing this entire lens casing in order to swap out the license plates. Now there are two tabs that are holding this casing into place. There are one on each side. So we're first going to take our our pointed wedge tool, and we're just going to wedge it into one of the sides and just pry down one of these tabs, and the lens should come loose a little bit. Here we are. And then once that is jammed in there, we're just going to take our fork-shaped wedge tool and we're just going to pry around the lens casing just to loosen it up and just to pry it outward. Just be patient because it can take a bit of work. There we are. And once the casing is loose enough, you can just take your bare hands and pull it out. Here we go. And now that we have the lens removed, we're just going to reach in and twist this power connector right here counterclockwise and just pull out to remove. And now we have access to the halogen bulb, so I'll just remove it with my bare hands. And so here we have the LED, so we'll just pop that in. Now before reassembling everything, I'm just going to test the lights to make sure everything's working. So everything looks good. So now we can reassemble the casing here. So we're just going to line up these tabs right here on the power connector into the appropriate tabs on the back side of the casing. And once everything is seated flush, we're just going to want to twist this power connector here clockwise in order to lock it into place. And now we can just pop the casing back in. Now we'll be installing LEDs on the reverse lights. Now, in order to get access to the reverse halogen bulb, we're going to have to remove this whole housing, but not to worry, it's pretty simple. As you can see, there are a few bolts here, but we'll just have to remove two. This one right here that's just above the trunk clip, and this bottom one right here. And you can do so just with a 10mm socket and a socket wrench. So now that the bolts are removed, you can tell that the reverse housing, it is a bit loose now. So we're going to use our fork-shaped wedge tool. We're just going to pry in between the housing and the vehicle right here in order to loosen up a couple last pegs that are holding the housing into place. Just be patient, it could take a bit of work. Eventually it should come loose. Here we are. And so now we have access to the reverse bulb, which is this one right here. Once the housing does come loose, I would just advise to be careful because you don't want to be yanking on these power connectors too much. And so we can just reach in right here, twist this power connector here counterclockwise, and then just pull out to remove. And now we have access to the halogen bulb. So I'll just remove that with my bare hands. And so here I have the LED, so we'll just pop that in. Now, before reassembling everything, we're just going to test the reverse lights to make sure everything's working. So everything looks good. So now we'll just reinstall the bulb. Now, it's important to note that these LEDs, these are a big improvement for increased visibility with your backup camera. So now we'll just line up the tabs here. And once everything is seated flush, you're just going to want to twist the connector clockwise in order to lock the bulb into place. And now we can just reinstall the housing. You're just going to want to first line up these two pegs into the corresponding holes here. And once everything is lined up, just apply a little bit of pressure until it snaps into place. And now we could just re-screw in the screws here.
And that's the end of the installation. If you have any questions or concerns, please email us at help@precisionled.com, or you can reach us online and submit a support ticket at www.precisionled.com/contact. Now, like we said before, please like or subscribe if you enjoyed the video or enjoyed the process for what we do. It really does help us out when we make the next one, knowing that there's people out there watching the videos. Have a good one.